Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "People fail to get along because they fear each other. They fear each other because they don't know each other. They don't know each other because they have not communicated with each other." As we all know, the result of MLK's movement was ultimately freedom and justice for African Americans, and that's what he's known for. However, I believe he spoke against more than just racial discrimination. I will be quoting him throughout this video, as I believe his words can shed some light on this subject. As you know by the title of this video, the Simpsons episode Homer's Phobia tackles the sensitive topic of judgments made against gay people. The background story for this episode is pretty interesting. Bill Oakley, a showrunner for Fox, claims the team received a total of 3 pages of critiques from the network censors for, and I quote, "every single thing that had to do with being gay or the word gay." The final line read, "The entire subject and content of this episode is unacceptable to air." So instead of taking the censors' advice, Oakley and his partner Josh Weinstein decided to take a risk and produce the episode anyway. In 1996, the studio cleared Homer's Phobia for broadcast. I'm glad this episode wasn't cancelled because I believe it's written very well and has an important message to share with all of us. But don't take my word for it. It won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program and a GLAAD Media Award for Outstanding TV. What makes it such an iconic episode is how it's able to take a controversial subject like this and make it hilarious so that people can see how ridiculous it truly is through the power of comedy. Which is what I'll be making a video about in the future. John Waters, who is featured in this episode, and gay in real life, believes the only way to change anyone's opinion is to make them laugh first. This character comes off as charming, humble, and kind to the Simpsons family. He is even invited into their home for the purpose of connecting with them and buying their old artifacts, and they have a great time together. However, the next morning, Homer is told the hard truth about John's sexuality. Marge could tell, based on the clue she was given, that he's gay. However, she doesn't judge him for it. It's just an observation/assumption that she made, not a criticism. Though she does judge Homer for freaking out and acting like the world's ending.
"Oh my God, I danced with a gay. Marge, Lisa, promise me you won't tell anyone. Promise me."
You're being ridiculous.
I do understand that this topic of which sexualities are right and wrong is controversial. I'm not here to make that call. My argument for this subject is pretty simple. You deserve love and respect, regardless of the way you were born, regardless of who you're attracted to, regardless of the choice that you make with your body. According to MLK, if we are to have peace on earth, our loyalties, or in other words, our faithfulness, must become ecumenical, which means unity, rather than sectional, which means divided. Our loyalties must transcend our race, our tribe, our class, and our nation, and this means we must develop a world perspective. It's funny because Homer was perfectly fine and happy spending time with John, but as soon as it's revealed that he's gay, he wants absolutely nothing to do with him whatsoever, and he even tries to persuade his family to stay as far away from him as possible. Whenever John shows up, he hides. He's literally terrified of his presence, as if he's the world's most contagious disease or something. But as you can clearly see, based on John's personality throughout this episode, he isn't a disease. He isn't a virus. He isn't toxic whatsoever. He doesn't hit on Homer. He doesn't force his beliefs onto Marge and her kids. He doesn't do anything worthy of disrespect. Instead, he's thoughtful enough to show them around the city and even buy them lunch. Hence the name of this episode. Homer's Phobia exposes itself even further when he assumes more nonsensical conclusions about John and his quote-unquote evil ways.
How'd it go? Tell me everything that happened. He didn't give you gay, did he? Did he?
Oh, jeez Louise, you don't even know what you're worried about anymore.
Like, what kind of question is that? There's this plot point where Homer goes detective mode and tries to see whether or not his son is turning gay because of John's influence. I can somewhat understand him being concerned about this. However, the reasons he gives for this theory of his are pretty silly. For example, Bart choosing a pink cupcake over a brown one, or him wearing a Hawaiian shirt, are not very good indicators of his sexuality. Homer could definitely use some of that Hawaiian spirit.
So if you wore a Hawaiian shirt, it wouldn't be gay.
Right. Thank you.
I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. This is yet another thought-provoking quote by the wise Martin Luther King Jr. The ultimate meaning of these two phrases are likely beyond our imagination and comprehension. However, what MLK is basically saying is how God sees the world, how God sees people, and how God views discrimination is what ultimately matters at the end of the day. And if you can believe that God loves you unconditionally, then you have nothing to worry about.
Homer, what have you got against gays?
It's not usual. If there was a law, it would be against it.
Oh, Homer, please, you're embarrassing yourself.
Homer seriously believes Bart's gay, so he takes him into the woods to do some quote-unquote manly hunting. There's this moment when he starts to feel guilty about himself for, in his words, not being a good enough dad. He feels like it's all his fault that Bart is possibly gay. The hunting idea turns into a disaster when a herd of reindeer attack them. Then guess who's right there to save their life? You guessed it, the very person they were mocking, John Waters. After the rescue, Homer and his friends realize their opinions on John were unfair, and their hearts become anew.
Well, Homer, I won your respect, and all I had to do was save your life. Now, if every gay man could just do the same, you'd be set.
The episode ends with Homer letting Bart know that any way he chooses to live his life is alright with him. Of course, Bart is confused about what he's talking about because, again, he's not gay, but it's the thought that counts. As cheesy as this is going to sound, I want to end this video by saying kindness, love, and respect are all so important. We all know this, it's pretty obvious, but I think it's easy to forget the power of the butterfly effect. I want to make a video dedicated to this very concept, but to give you the general idea, we go through enough pain in this life as it is. So you never know what kind of disrespectful comment could do to someone's mental state, and vice versa. You never know what one simple, random act of kindness could do for someone. As the story demonstrates, if we truly got to understand the people that we hate, maybe there would be no more phobia. This was Made to Express. Thanks for watching.